Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, it could be a review, re-review, topic, reaction, commentary, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box under the video. This is a request to do a commentary on the very first Police Academy. So pause at the beginning. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. As that great theme starts, love this theme. This came out in 1984, was a big surprise hit. We have The Lad Company, which I believe also released Blade Runner, among other films. Warner Brothers, of course. And this became a pretty successful franchise. March 4th of this year. Newly elected Mayor Mary Sue Beale announced that she was changing the hiring practices of the city's police force. No longer would height, weight, sex, education, or physical strength be used to keep new recruits out of the Metropolitan Police Academy. Hundreds of people who never dreamed of becoming police officers signed up immediately. Naturally, the police completely freaked. I'm sure no one ever thought that this is a film that would spawn 7 movies. Steve Guttenberg became, in my opinion, a star because of a film like this. And a lot of these people would show up in a lot of the sequels. Steve Guttenberg did the first 4. Cattrall was only in this one, and I mean, Sharon Stone was in, I think, the 4th film. G.W. Bailey, he wasn't in 2 and 3. He came back for 4, 5, 6, and 7. Bubba Smith was in all except he wasn't in the 7th one. George Gaines, he's one of the few that's been in every single one, as well as I think Michael Winslow. He's been in every single one. Of course, this right here is David Graff, who sadly passed away fairly early on. I mean, even when this DVD came out, which is a pretty old DVD, David Graff, I think, was one of the only cast members to have passed away. And David Graff is great, just how serious he is. He's a big gun nut, and just how he takes everything so seriously. And that's why a lot of people, I know, if you say you like Police Academy, you'll look down upon, you look down as stupid, or how could you like that? Well, obviously a lot of people agree that's why they made so many movies. Now, granted, to me, after 4, that's when it went downhill. I like the first 4, the ones with Guttenberg. I think once Steve Guttenberg left, and then you're going to Miami Beach, and you get other people to try to be the lead, it just wasn't the same. And Mission to Moscow, the 7th one, is whoop. That is absolutely terrible. But I like the first 4. They're silly, they're fun, they're the underdog story. And I think the reason they were successful is because of the cast. People enjoyed these characters. They enjoyed, if we understand Paul Maslensky, I guess he was in San Francisco and he saw he was working on the right stuff. And then he saw how the police that were taking care of crowd control and stuff, and he saw, wow, there's every race, every color, every creed. To imagine and shoot first, ask questions later. Good luck, Tackleberry. As we're being introduced to each of these characters, Steve Guttenberg, which I know he kind of considers himself as kind of like a Bugs Bunny type of character, which it kind of made sense in that retrospect. I forget this guy on the right's name, but I know I've seen him in other movies. I think Steve Guttenberg had a great wisecracker mentality to it, and He had a likable aura. I mean, people don't get mad that I make this comparison, but he was kind of like Ryan Reynolds before Ryan Reynolds. And yet he had that kind of everyman natural comedic quality to it. And I did. People make fun of Gutenberg, and I don't really understand why. He just has a likable, charming quality to him. I've always been a fan. And he would go on to be. He was in very successful movies. He was in Short Circuit. He was in Cocoon. He was in Three Men and a Baby, which was the most successful movie of that year. Police Academy films were making money. That's why they kept making them up to. I think 6 maybe didn't do that well. And then there was a few years. Then they did a part 7. And I think part 7 was supposed to be like this big finale, like reunion, but they just were cheaped out. Good stunt. Car on 2 wheels. I parked it for you. Good stunt. But yeah, I've always been a fan of Steve Guttenberg. And I don't know if it's true, but I heard that they asked him first to be the lead in Sharknado. And he said no. And then he kind of regrets it because there were so many movies. And that's why he did that film La Valantula, which actually had some of the other Police Academy members, Michael Winslow and Marion Ramsey, in those 2 films, which I haven't seen them. And sadly, a lot of these actors have passed away. I mean, I don't I don't know if George Gaines is with us. I think Bubba Smith has passed away. Marion Ramsey sadly has passed away. David Graff has passed away. I think G.W. Bailey's still with us. I know he's on this TV show. I forget the name of it. Steve Guttenberg is still with us. Michael Winslow is still with us. This guy here, I was indifferent on this character. I don't know the reasons why he didn't. I don't know if he was in the second one. I know he wasn't in the other ones after that. I can see why. I mean, he's, I guess, fine, but he's not like a character I love. Of the main characters, he's probably the one like, very lukewarm on. But you can tell these guys became friends because you see them in interviews, or there's like a cast commentary on here. They just seem very friendly with each other. Here we got Michael Winslow, who had done stand-up, and this talent here with the very interesting talent, and you didn't really see that really showcased, and made it very memorable. I know he popped up in a couple Cheech and Chong films, like he was in Cheech and Chong's next movie. I think he was in one more. I forget it was Nice Dreams or which one it was. But I know he's in the next movie. But you didn't really see Michael Wenzel in a whole lot of other stuff. I just, hey, almost each year there was a Police Academy film. I mean, I can't think of another comedy series that got to 7 movies. I mean, it's rare well, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, there are comedies that get sequels, but usually it's maybe up to 3. Like, you have the 3 Hanover films, you have the 3 Friday films. Maybe you have the Odd Couple 2, you got other stuff, Ghostbusters 2, then Ghostbusters Afterlife. But 7 movies, it became like you have Friday the 13th for horror slasher, you have Police Academy for a comedy. I think because a lot of the cast members were willing to come back, and these movies were not made for a ton of money. And there was an audience that just want to go in and have fun and see these characters each time. As how Steve Guttenberg, at least you look at his filmography in the 80s, was just very successful, and people kind of downplay that. But again, Short Circuit, Cocoon, this franchise, Three Men and the Baby, there's nothing to shake your head at, no matter how many people want to look down on it. A lot of them are fun, entertaining movies. I don't remember the reason why he didn't do Short Circuit 2, and I'm trying to remember why he didn't do like Please Tell Me 5 and stuff. I don't know if just he was busy with other movies, or he's like, you know what, 4 is enough, let's move on a bit. I know this character here would pop up a bit. In fact, his wife character, I want to say in the third film, this kind of same scene happens where she goes in the... Yeah, this type of scene happens again, I want to say in part 3, only this time it's reversed. Because he's a cop now, and then she's the one who wants to be in the academy. And then he, like, again, a similar thing happens where he gets on the windshield. In this movie, she gets on the windshield. Yeah, I think it's part 3. Or is it part 4? It's part 3 or part 4, I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen them, so it's hard to remember the details. And this Kim Cattrall. And Kim Cattrall, I mean, you think of the 80s, she was in Porky's, this film, Mannequin, Big Trouble in Little China, of course. And she doesn't really talk about her past, it seems, but, I mean, a lot of those are good movies. Like, Mannequin is fun. Love Big Trouble in Little China. And then, of course, later on be very successful with Sex and the City. But yeah, this has an underdog quality that I think a lot of people liked and enjoyed and found charming. But yeah, a lot of people look down on these movies. I remember there's the Simpsons episode where, why do you think I took you all those Police Academy films? Huh, to laugh? Well, I heard no one laughing, did you? So again, it's looked down upon. I'm like, Simpsons, you haven't made people laugh for like 10 fucking years, so you have no room to talk about a franchise overstaying its welcome. Again, pretty fucking ironic. I mean, again, you've overstayed your welcome, some would say, by 20 fucking years. I don't know anyone that watches The Simpsons nowadays. That's why I don't understand how The Simpsons is still on. Because I don't know anyone that watches the new episodes. I can't find a single fucking person that watches a single new episode of The Simpsons. Like the new ones. I can't find a single fucking person, but it's still on. Anyway. One in the oven. This is another character that didn't come back. This ladies' man guy. You tell, like, they kind of looked at the first film. They said, who worked? There's, like, definitely Bubba Smith worked. Of course, Guttenberg worked. Michael Winslow worked. Marion Ramsey. Okay, those are guys that come back. But, growing up as a kid, the one I saw the most was part 3. With Bobcat Goldthwait as one of the cadets. And even, even this guy here is like the ladies' man guy. He's fine as well. Like, I don't really have much issues with any of these guys. Then you have, George Gaines is the one there, sitting down. Then G.W. Bailey on the left there. Again, I don't know why G.W. Bailey wasn't in the second or third one. I know there was talk, like, they made a documentary on this franchise. Because there was a trailer for it. What was it, 5 fucking years ago the trailer was? I kind of want to get my phone now and look up some info, but it's one of those things where and then he wasn't in it until back in the 4th film. But also he was doing other films too. I mean, he was in G.W. Bailey was in Runaway with Tom Selleck. He was also in Mannequin with Tim Cattrall, I believe. And he was in Short Circuit with Steve Guttenberg. I mean, Runaway, he played the boss of Tom Selleck's character. In Short Circuit, he played an asshole. In Mannequin, he kind of played a similar character to this one. So, yeah, I just want to look up some info on this. Thighs, let me see those thighs. That's later on. But it's one of those things that, if you like the film, that people, oh, well, you have bad taste. Whatever. Here's Marion Ramsey. May she rest in peace. Didn't say how she passed away. And yeah, this is the only film in the franchise that has an R rating. Just they figured, well, here's the name. This would not fly today. A guy behind a woman wanting to flirt with her and say, let me see them thighs. What? I got all day, the thighs, the thighs. I find it funny, and yeah, people would label it sexist and stuff. Marion Ramsey says she came up with the Hoot's voice by reading the description of her character in the script and recalling the time she met Michael Jackson, who attended a stage production of Little Shop of Horrors that Marion was performing. The voice is a parody of Michael Jackson. Michael Winslow, David Graff, and George Gaines are the only actors to appear in all 7 movies. And Michael Wenzel was actually on the Police Academy series in 1997. I forgot there was a series, there was a cartoon as well. Donovan Scott shot home movies during filming, and that there's a very funny, touching, unreleased documentary that he made of the shoot. Supposedly, you'll see it in some of it in one institution, the story of Police Academy. Yeah, the wife tier is Police Academy 3. It was in that one. Alan Ladd Jr., the big producer on this, he's the one that came up with the podium gag that you see later on. Like I said, Police Academy is not really known for the raunchy, vulgar humor. It's at this one where, like, G.W. Bailey head stuck up the horse's ass, the blowjob joke. Yeah, the only one that did an R rating. David Graff, he had a choice between this and Racing with the Moon. When Warner Bros. Made him an offer, he said he knew which film was going to make money. And I mean, that's true. It says Billy Crystal, Tom Hanks, Michael Keaton, Bill Murray, Judge Reinhold, Jerry Seinfeld, Robin Williams, Bruce Willis, John Travolta, Rick Moranis were considered for Mahoney. But I'm glad Guttenberg got it. Let's see. One of the films Roger Ebert gave 0 stars to. Big surprise. Lance Kinsey auditioned for this film for the Fackler role, and then he would end up being Proctor in Please Tell Me 2. I think he was there till 6. Yeah, with a budget of just under $5 million and no A-listers, the film was made with no massive expectations. Despite some stuffy press reviews, the film unexpectedly became a huge hit with a worldwide gross of almost $150 million. It was a huge relief for the Ladd company, who previously had made several critically lauded but financially unsuccessful films. Apparently, Bruce Willis auditioned for the role of Mahoney. That would have been interesting. Well, quick life for part 2, Bubba Smith made more money from that film than he earned in 10 years of playing professional football. He requested a 2% piece of the movie's profits in lieu of a higher salary. Bill Paxton had the role, was offered the role that Bobcat Goldthwait get, but he turned it down because the contract required him to also be in sequels. But he did Aliens instead, and that worked out. But yeah, just a lot of successful stuff here. I mean, it's just crazy just how successful this became for a franchise. Incredibly successful. And real quickly, I just want to check on the director, what else he's done. Hugh Wilson would go on to do Burglar with Whoopi Goldberg, Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser, Deli Do-Right with Brendan Fraser, Guarding Tess with Nicolas Cage. Let's see. Again, they definitely toned down the rating for the future sequels. But still, I mean, they made a lot of money around the world. A lot of money. And again, a lot of the enjoyable stuff. But yeah. Okay, so again, just wanted to mention a few things there. I should have looked into why. I actually should look into that. And Tim Cattrall seemed pretty game for this type of stuff. I didn't. You look at the character in Porky's. What that character had to do. Seems she was pretty game to do certain stuff, and in a weird way, kind of fits that she would go on to be Sex in the City. And there's Leslie Easterbrook on the left there, and she would appear in quite a few of the films. I try to remember. Cause I think she was in the Mission to Moscow one, I believe. I'm trying to remember which one she wasn't in. Again, I'm sorry, just there's a lot of movies to try to keep track with this. Let's see. You look up Leslie Easterbrook. I think she would also appear a couple like Rob Zombie stuff. Maybe it was the second one she wasn't in. Let me double check. Yeah, she was in a couple Rob Zombie films. She was in The Devil's Rejects. Damn, Tina. Yeah, if there's a character I'm pretty lukewarm on, is the barber character. Oh, he's the fat guy and he's too fat and all that stuff. Okay. Damn, she's been in quite a decent amount of movies. Oh, she was also in La Valantula. So yeah, a decent amount of Please Tammy people were in that. Let's see. Please Tammy 1. She was in 3, 4. She was in the second film. Gotcha. So the second film she wasn't in. Sorry about my stomach not shutting up. Haven't eaten yet, so I'll do it after this. See, G.B.W. Bailey. Please. Academy 2. Says G.W. had hoped to return as Lieutenant Harris, but was passed over in favor of Art Metrano. And, that's weird. They wouldn't bring him back? That's strange. Huh. I mean, I like Mark Metrano, but I would say I like G.W. Bailey more. Guttenberg declined the part. Let's see. Steve Guttenberg turned down the lead role and gave a firm no to any other Please Tammy sequels that might turn up. He turned them all down. 2 decades later, he expressed in an interview that he would rather turn down the chance to star in the later sequels. That was among the main people trying to make another Please Tammy movie. Let's see. Yeah, that's really all it says about it. But again, I can understand his point of view. I mean, Please Tammy 5, that was 1988, and sometimes it gets to a point where you're going, how many of these movies can you really make? So I can understand that. It's like, come on, guys, we like give up some time. We're making 5 of these movies now. And that was 88. And when was the 6th one? Was that 89? Again, sorry I looked at it on the phone a lot. There's 7 movies trying to get into. Yeah, 89. And then That's the film that did like not much of anything, and then it was until 1994 where you had another one. I mean, if they actually put a budget to it and they had made like a final one with all of the characters together back, and you did like a fresh mind to it, writing direction wise, you have a little bit more slick looking budget wise, so that would be cool. That would have been cool, but sadly, again, a good chunk of them have passed away now, sadly. Like I said, David Graff. Actually, I want to look up George Gaines. I think he's passed away. Yeah, he passed away. 2016, he passed away. And then I think Bubba's passed away. He passed away. Yeah, 2011. And then Marion Ramsey passed away. And that was in 2021, so not that long ago. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty sad. That's just how it is, though. And I want to look up this Police Academy documentary, like, if there's anything going on with this. It's from the guys that did, I guess, that new Pennywise documentary that's finally getting released and all this other stuff, and it's called What an Institution, the story of Police Academy. And yeah, the thing with the, okay. Me on YouTube, you can find interviews with the cast members and stuff, but okay, this is what it says on the documentary. If the phone picks up. For the makers of You're So Cool Brewster, the story of Fright Night, RoboDot, the creation of RoboCop. That's a documentary that's not even out. With an array of interviews, behind the scenes footage, and photos by the original Police Academy producer Paul Maslansky. I don't care who's writing and directing the documentary, people. They got supposedly Lance Kinsey. They got Michael Winslow, Art Matrano. A lot of people behind the scenes. Paul Maslansky himself, Leslie Easterbrook, Donovan Scott. I know at one point they had gotten Steve Guttenberg. March 2022. We are now in the final stages of post-production with the edit being completed and are now fine-tuned with the graphics, pace, animation, score. We hope to have more concrete updates very shortly. We have a completed 4-hour cut which includes all 7 films, the TV series, and the cartoon series. Making trims when needed. I'm sure they're going, you know, you don't have to fine tune it that much. People will see it, and if there's a boring part, they'll just fast forward the boring part and get to the stuff they want to see. So yeah, I don't know what else is going on with this thing. It's not really showing a whole lot else with it. Just looking at the supposedly there's a documentary on Beetlejuice, which I know nothing about that. But yeah, Steve Guttenberg, Leslie Easterbrook, apparently Matt McCoy, Bobcat Goldthwait, G.W. Bailey, Charlie Schlater, Michael Winslow, Brian Tochi, who was the voice of Leonardo in the Ninja Turtle movies. He was in Police Academy 3 and 4. Again, sorry, I was just looking through stuff. Although they said Brian Toshi would be in that Ninja Turtles documentary, and then they fucking cut him out because that documentary is a piece of shit. Which is funny, like, those guys are trying to do a 4-hour cut of the Police Academy documentary. That makes sense. Like with Elm Street Never Sleep Again. But, you know, the people who did that Ninja Turtle documentary, oh, we're gonna make this, like, I don't know, 90 minutes. I mean, granted, we have, like, at this point, 3 cartoons and multiple movies. At that point, the Michael Bay produced ones that had come out. So you have 3 live-action films, 1 CGI film. You got a live-action film, Next Mutation. You got all the toys, video games, the comic books, the variations of the comic books. We got all this stuff. But, you know, it's the definitive documentary, but it's about 90 minutes. Maybe 100 if you're lucky. So, give me a fucking break. Sorry, I call bull and shit. But anyway, that's another rant another day. I guess with the ladies, man, like, he didn't really catch on because there was really not much to him other than a bunch of... I think that's another thing. And look at all this nudity. Like, you wouldn't see this in the other ones. Some of the stuff that was put in there. Because films like Porky's was a huge hit, and I don't remember Animal House what it was rated. But there was a time when they wanted R-rated stuff to be released. It's like slasher films. Like, there was a movie called Final Exam that they purposely shot stuff to make an R rating because they said, oh my god, it's PG, because there's no PG-13 at the time. Oh, we'd be a laughing stock, and people are not going to go to a PG horror film. And I think they say, oh, it's got to be R-rated. DW is going to shoot them. Like, I just see Ryan Reynolds saying stuff like, thank you, sir, I make everyone sick. Because at this point, you know, Steve Guttenberg's theater wants to be kicked out. She definitely looks good in those clothes, I'll say that. Looks good out of them, too. But yeah, it's one of those things where Sorry, I'm listening to the dialogue because I can't remember when was the last time I rewatched the first Police Academy. It's been a long, long while. Was never push-ups guy. I could never do push-ups like that. Yeah, I remember this scene now where he's telling the guy to hit him, but he gets slapped. And then Michael Wenzel with the electric razor, electric razor. But again, that gets into just the people enjoy these characters and their personalities, and I thought they worked well together. All these folks just made for a very fun, like likable cast of characters. And like I said, a lot of these, I mean, they came back for a lot of the sequels, and obviously probably the payday helped as well. Like I said, Bubba Smith, he said, "Let me just get 2% of the gross," and then with how much money these movies make around the world, that was actually the smarter decision. Just someone say you always take the percentage. I think Jack Nicholson did that for Batman, and that pretty much set him up for life, it seems. Again, sorry I'm not saying much. Because, I mean, with the comedies, especially something like this, like, there's not much to talk about with, like, the set design. It's trying to look like a police academy. Like, what else can you say about it? There's not much to the directing, as in, there's not any tricky camera angles, camera movements, POV shots, slick edits. It is just trying to be straightforward comedy. I see, and it shows how smart Gutenberg's character is. He knows something's up, so send him off on the wrong path. At the end, when Gutenberg mentioned Bugs Bunny, I can see that now with how he's a guy that rarely loses his cool and manipulates people into doing, at least the bad guys, villains, to like this. Yeah, go over here, and there's send them right to the wrong place. I don't even know if this would fly either. The Blue Oyster Bar might be called homophobic. Hey, there's probably bars like that. And I always love the music. So that's another thing, that there are stuff that would be repeated quite a bit throughout these movies. So that Blue Oyster bar that would pop up from time to time. And I know sometimes there was talks of a reboot or a remake. And like, I know Bobcat Goldthwait, he's not a fan of these movies. He hates these films, and because he's like, oh yeah, a reboot. I mean, if they do it like 21 Jump Street, sure, and this time, make the film funny. Like, that was his kind of knock on it. Just he's not a fan of these movies. I don't really think he's a fan of the movies he was in and playing that type of character. He's much more into the directing did now. Because Bobcat Goldthwait's directed, that Robin Williams film, World's Greatest Dad. He directed a really awful Bigfoot movie called Willow Creek. Awful, insanely boring film. So, I mean, I'm sorry, Bobcat. These films I find a lot more entertaining than the stuff you directed. I didn't even hate World's Greatest Dad, but I find these films much more entertaining. Titties. I mean, really, if you took out, like, the breasts and a few of the other little bits, this would have been PG. Because you don't, like, hear that people say fuck, and, it's not violence or anything. It really just, some nice flashes of nudity, and once in a while, I know Guttenberg said, oh shit, I'm deaf, that type of thing. But I don't know, I never minded when it went to PG, never minded it. Because again, these characters are just very likable. And then they're the reason to watch the film. Obviously, if you don't like them, you're not going to like the movies. If you do like them, then, like I said, about part 4, just part 2, they're on their assignment, and the city's going haywire. Bobcat Goldthwait is the leader of this gang, and they catch him. Part 3, Zed, Bobcat Goldthwait's been reformed, and, now it's our cast training the new recruits, so they're now on the reverse end as training these folks. Part 4, you have the citizens on patrol. I think you had like David Spade in a small bit in that. I always remember that song, Citizens on Patrol. Citizens on Patrol. No matter what people think about it, I find it catchy. And that's the one where Sharon Stone is playing a role like Kim Cattrall in this one. And those are the ones I watched the most growing up, was 3 and 4. So I do like those. But then part 5, and then Steve Guttenberg left. Again, it's like, come on, dude, are we really doing a part 5, really? Like I said, I can understand that. I understand that mentality of, like, we're really milking this dry, ain't we? Because I'm sure, like a lot of actors, they want their career to do more, to be grown more, rise higher. And that was about, I did 88 when that film came out. That's why I Short Circuit 2, this, although I think he did Cocoon too, but I just, because Cocoon seemed much more of the emotional movie. But then, the Cocoon sequel didn't really do much. Hightower's good with that shotgun. This is what he's been waiting for all his life, Tackleberry. And this is always like he's going to be the Terminator when he says, "Come with me if you want to live." What he says here, like, what was the line? "Come with me." Just that. He's really done. Like, he's been waiting for this his entire life. And yet there's an energy and enthusiasm to it that's infectious. You know, as a kid growing up with the Three Stooges, growing up with Red Skelton, growing up with Abbott Costello movies like Meet Frankenstein or Meet the Invisible Man. You know, it's that goofy charm with likable characters that makes it infectious. And again, what made this such a hit. And Leslie Easterbrook, I mean, definitely a strong woman here. Just throws his. I love the reaction this guy has. Wow. I love that guy's reaction. Again, this would not be the last time she would do stuff like this. She would do with Brian Tochi in the in part 3. Ah, Marion Ramsey. Yeah, very sad that, you know, but because of the hard bitch of a witch called time that we've lost quite a bit of this. And G.W. Bailey just relished in being evil and relished in being such an ass of a character that I have no idea why they would say no to him for the sequel, at least 2 and 3. That's just very. I just said, okay, we've done him as a villain. Let's do someone else as a villain. Maybe that says a little bit about Hoots. This is a stick up. And this is pretty funny because he steers the show. Yeah, the actors just make it work. We really need to talk. I think I'm in love. You may love to just one girl? That's disgusting. You know, every now and then you seem to lose your Spanish accent. What's up with that? But that little moment I didn't mind either. Sorry, now a lot of it's just like, I like this scene, I like this scene. I'm sorry. It's not much of a commentary. But just ending with a comedy, it's pretty. You just say a comedy is the easiest type of movie to assess. Meaning, if you found it funny, comedy worked. If you found it not funny, it failed. I mean, what more else can you, and how much more detail can you get? But yeah, Bubba Smith, football player. He would appear in a couple other movies. He was in the film with, I think, Beau Bridges, where they were, I want to say, partners, like police officer partners, I believe. I forget what it was called. And then, I think was he part of the TV show that didn't last long, the Blue Thunder TV show? I know Dick Butkus was on it. I think Bubba Smith was in the Tommy Lee Jones film Black Moon Rising, I believe. So I do wonder how people think, like, if they should have kept the R-rated mentality of the sequels, or just they're fine with what happened. Maybe there's some people that like the R-rated mentality because they you're a bit more free to say and do what you want. And you know, with the first movie, that could be considered the freshest because you're coming up your ideas in one basket. Then when you come with a sequel, you have to just try to think of new ideas, and the longer it goes, the less fresh those ideas happen to be. Like I said, this is one where you get a bit more of the vulgar stuff, like it's not just the fact that he had a blowjob. It's the when thinking it's fucking Steve Guttenberg that did it. And the expression George Gaines has on his face. I think George Gaines would also appear in, I want to say, The Last Starfighter, in this with this alien makeup on. Well, you told her the person coming up here is a customer. I don't know what you expected. They expect her to wait. Again, this might be something that wouldn't fly today. You know, as if hookers don't exist. In this, much more PC brigade. I gotta say, I mean, for getting this a surprise and not realizing that he kept his cool pretty well. Gotta commend him for that. I mean, the character, they kept his cool fairly well. I think this is the reaction that gets the biggest laugh. Is wondering who that is, and then seeing who pops. There we go, right here. Just simple good speech goes back in. No extraneous music, sound effects, clown noises, big loud reactions, just he did a very bad thing. He realized that if he says this out loud, what would it mean? Well, I don't know. Are you alright, sir? No, not really. Can I go? Like I said, the actors made the stuff work, and that's the essential part of this movie I keep repeating. They cast this perfectly. And then there are people who's like, how the hell can anyone like these movies? Again, it's the cast of likable, charming individuals, from the tough Bubba Smith to the charming Steve Guttenberg to you have so many characters that have to bounce off. So like you don't have the little spurts here and there. I forgot that, and I'm almost a bit surprised that Michael Winslow is not used as much as I remember him being used. Might be one of those things like in the sequels he's used a bit more. Well, I mean, I guess that would definitely build up your cardio. I think David Graff, one of my favorite bits is a guy smoking like a cigar. You'll put that out, mister. He shoots the damn cigar out of the guy's mouth. But yeah, I mean, I was talking about like Police Academy sequels like 2 and 3. Like 3 and 4 are the ones I saw the most growing up. 5, again, the whole Miami Beach thing, and not have Steve Guttenberg back, and I think it was a Matt McCoy was now in it, and I don't mind Matt McCoy. I've liked him and stuff. Abominable is one I really enjoyed with him, where he's a guy in a wheelchair and it's like a rear window, but he also have like a Bigfoot storyline as well. I actually like that quite a bit. But Please Tell Me 5 just here we go. One of the raunchy things. This just isn't my type of joke. I mean, for me, this is the worst joke in the movie. It just, I mean, it's funny with Michael Wenzel making fun of it, doing the horse noises, but to make him literally a horse's ass, it just, again, not really my kind of humor on that aspect. Okay, as we're supposed to believe that he didn't tell anybody about this. I don't know why I like Michael Wenzel's face reaction. And then Police Academy 6, where it's trying to be like this mystery, where you have this guy that sounds like Dr. Claw and Inspector Gadget, and like 5 and 6 is like really one is like, okay, now we really melt this franchise enough. And again, Part 6 did not do well even worldwide. I mean, I don't know if I would say it's a bomb, but I mean, that's what it's like, okay, we gotta take a bit of a break. And then 94, Mission to Moscow, which again, from what I understand, the initial idea was this will be a big wrap up and everybody comes back and we have one final story. But instead, they really, really cheaped out. They thought Russia was a gimmick. What was Ron Perlman was in it. And they only brought back a couple. I think it was Michael Winslow, Leslie Easterbrook, George Gaines, and G.W. Bailey. Bubba Smith was going to be in it, but when he heard Marion Ramsey was cut out, Bubba Smith says, well, then I'm not doing the film either. I think that's how G.W. Bailey got in. I don't think he originally was going to be in that film. From what I understand, it was going to be Bubba Smith doing the G.W. Bailey stuff. But then when Bubba Smith was gone, they got G.W. Bailey in there, and there you go. But yeah, I mean, like I said, either people like cheaped out, so Guttenberg said no. Boucher Goldthwait was never going to do it. Some of these other folks, it just, again, they're either cheaped out or like, come on, this is part 7, dude. This is, of course, where Guttenberg's teaching Bubba Smith how to drive. Now, this is the director himself. Sees how big Bubba Smith is. Is like, just want to make sure everything's fine back here. But yeah, that guy, the angry guy, that is the director, Hugh Wilson. Shows a little bit of how Drew's in the car chase. I mean, the actresses were never that big and glorious in these films, but I mean, they want to throw in a bit in there, especially mainly in the third act. You know, get some enjoyment out of it. I'd probably say my favorite third act is the part 3, when they're on those like jet ski type of things. They go off and they each have their moments to shine. And you know what? I never watched the TV show or the cartoon series. And I'm like, oh, I forgot that was a thing that happened. But you said, I mean, obviously a franchise that was making enough money for Warner Bros. They kept showcasing it again and again. That's why I look forward to that documentary. I would gladly love to check out that documentary. Whenever the hell it comes out. I mean, I don't like the people involved making it because they're the ones behind You're So Cool Brewster, the making of Fright Night, and they have problems with delays and such, and like wondering what the bad with communication. I remember like they did such a terrible job with like 3-4 times they delayed it. Then it's supposed to be coming out this, coming out that. They don't know what's going on. I bought 2 copies because I was getting one for my friend for Christmas as a Christmas present, and they said, "Oh, it's going to be here regardless, no matter what." Then it wasn't. I didn't get it until in the new year, in January. I'm like, well, sorry. It was from Michael CP, and he was, perfectly fine with it. But he's like, well, here you go. I mean, but This communication, lack thereof, no tracking number, getting delayed multiple times. I'm like, this is ridiculous. And I said the line, which is true. This is why people fucking bootleg and stream stuff. It is. I love the reaction. Shit. And this is pretty much where Bo Smith disappears until the third act. He gets pretty much tipped out after this. But he did, to protect Marion Ramsey. And that's pretty damn tough. Lift the whole damn car. See, he's not even dead. Just dead. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, the Friday Night documentary was a fairly good one. I didn't care for the host segments with the fake Roddy McDowell wannabe, but it was pretty good. So I look forward to Pennywise. I look forward to Police Tammy, Robodot. But what are the issues? Yeah, I understand. Documentary takes a long time. And like the Friday Night, it was like, it wasn't that it was taking long. It was just they set a release date, then they set a release date, then they set a release date, and it's like, well, when the hell? Now you look at nowadays, there are people been waiting for 5, 6, 7 years, and they put money into it. Like, can you imagine putting money into Indiegogo and you're waiting, 5, 6 years at least, and you still haven't gotten anything, and you barely get a word, and it's like, well, fuck, man. I understand, waiting a bit of time, but when it gets to like over 5 years, it's getting a bit ridiculous. That's just me, though. And that's just my opinion on that. But I think another problem with those guys is that they just took on too much. Because it's like, we're doing a RoboCop one, we're doing a Robert Englund one, we're doing a Night of the Demons one, we're doing this one. It's like, how many of you don't fucking do? Concentrate on 2 or 3 at most. Not here's 6 or 7. There we got a little bit of fight action there. And here we have Mahoney being unselfish, finally thinking of someone other than himself. Where he just tipped out, but then he gets in the right situation to prevail. I mean, this is a guy who got into the academy, just wanted to get out, and then he does something right and just, and shows that he's grown at least a little bit as a character. So a simple apple caused a little bit of fight here, and then caused a whole sorts of chaos, like a domino effect. Which I mean is obviously this is the whole point, this whole domino effect that causes chaos because it's just a simple thing, which causes like a riot. Free TVs. That's those old school like fat ass TVs too. This is well before anything knew what, before a flat screen was even a thing. Like what, a flat screen? What the hell is that? I mean, this real big old fat ass TVs. But, and it's one of those things that, I mean, this is the era where the only way you can see these movies is in theaters or maybe on VHS. And that's where a lot of people, well, there were people that saw this in the theater, but a lot of people, especially I think like kids like me, would see these films on VHS tape, and I said get hooked into just the nature of the characters. It wasn't mean spirited. It wasn't overly harsh. It wasn't overly violent. The tone fit for what they're going for, and like I said, like, of those comedies like people back in the day, people looked down on Three Stooges and other stuff. I mean, these are the type of films that was never going to be a hit with critics. Let's face it. Little incognito there for Mr. Guttenberg. I think he wrote an autobiography as well, Steve Guttenberg. I've never read it though. And I don't know, I know these films have a Blu-ray, but I think it's a Blu-ray overseas? I don't even know, it might be region free. I'm not sure. I don't know if they have a Blu-ray in the US. Does it look like a Blu-ray pack, but then it had like a certification on a corner that seemed like an overseas one? I don't know the details of that. I only have these films on DVD. And I don't know if the Blu-rays carry over the features that are on the DVD. The first one is the one that has like a 30-minute making of, has a cast commentary. I don't think any of the other ones have a commentary. And I think they have a little bit of a making of, but they're much shorter. Some of them are like 5 minutes long. But that's what would have been cool, like if back in the day they had done this documentary where more people were alive. Like this documentary coming up 4 hours. Do you imagine they did that when Bubba Smith was alive and George Gaines was alive? And I mean, David Graff has passed away. But when these DVDs came out, most of them were alive other than David Graff. I didn't. George Gaines, Bubba Smith. I think they talked to Marion Ramsey before she passed. But, you know, it is what it is. That's what the thing is, that you can't wait too long. Otherwise it's too late. You know, and that's what, you know. It's like with Wes Craven. Like the special editions of Shocker, The People on the Stairs could have had a lot more Wes Craven, but sadly, no company wanted to do them, and then waited too long, and then you don't get really much of it, which sucks. But you know, it's just how it is. I don't know why, I like the way you said it. Holy shit! I thought it was a fun line delivery. That's a scary image. I mean, to have that many people running at you, that's not really. You never would want to see that in your life. And there's a lot of fucking people here. I mean, nowadays, I doubt they would try to make a comedy like this because police officers, because of assholes in it, they make them look really, really bad. There's the Floyd stuff. There's even this one recently where there were certain cops that didn't go into a school shooting. Some of them were like, whether they were told by the upper echelon to stay back or whatever, it's like no one wants to go in and try to help. What the hell? It just, but not all cops are like that. People don't want to hear that, but not all cops are like that. Again, there are cops that do care. I'm sorry, I'm going to maintain that despite people getting mad. There are people who say, oh, cops are bad. I don't agree, but there's a little bit of gift there from Michael Winslow to help him out. And he did say he was a florist, so they did follow through with that. No one definitely wants to mess with that big guy. Hell to the no. It's like, Jesus Christ. I don't know what the point was of throwing that helmet. I mean, it wasn't going to do much anyway, but I guess to do something. And of course the reveal here for these guys that the fest kind of ends. Of course, we set this up to show who got the guns and where they came from, so those two are going to be up shit creek later on for the Academy. Like, whose guns did they get? And you just how Bubba Smith just towers over people. He's a big guy. He's a very big, big guy. But yeah, I know there was, I think there was a DVD box set where each of these were in individually in those kind of Warner Brothers. A lot of people hate those cases, but I actually like those cases. The one where you have to click the side to close the DVD. I don't know if I have one over here. Okay, I have one over here. This is what the cases of the DVD look like. Like these. And yeah, I just have the disc for them. I don't have the cases, but they were like this. And it was mainly Warner Bros. That did it, where you'd have like a bit more sturdy. You have this flipper on the side, and you do that. A lot of people hate these, but I love these. I'm one of the only people that do, because I love how sturdy the top and bottom are. It feels sturdier. It just feels like it doesn't fall apart. I like the front and back bit of the harder, like, cardboard type. It just feels sturdier to me. And you put this on the shelf, and I always liked it, but I'm alone in that. But there's a DVD box set where I think each of the films were showcasing those. And then there was you did like a 4-pack where one has 1, 2, 3, 4, and the other has 5, 6, 7, and I want to say Loaded Weapon 1, or I can't remember what the other one was. It was like another Warner Brothers comedy. Because one was like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then one was 5, 6, 7, another thing. Now it's looking like an episode of T.J. Hooker. Like I said, there's not much in direction in terms of the action and the like. That's probably one of the few decent shots, like the rooftop pulling back and you see Tim Cattrall behind, taking cover. I like the debate. Like Harris is up there, should we shoot back? And like George Daniels is thinking about it. Now apparently that door was not supposed to be caught a little bit. Like you saw Marion Ramsey have struggled with it, but she tipped that and it eventually opened it, so they kept it in. But I think originally that door was not supposed to be hooked like that. And definitely the most successful movie the director made. Because the stuff I mentioned, like Burglar, Whoopi Goldberg, didn't really do a whole lot. That's when Whoopi Goldberg was trying to be a big star with, yeah, love Jumpin' Jack Flash. Burglar is there. She was in, what was it? Homer and Eddie, which was really lame, and that's a tone that's inconsistent. But then, you had the Ghost and Sister Act, and those were big hits for Whoopi Goldberg. But anyway, they had that. Guardian Test with Nicolas Cage, I don't think did anything. Dudley Do-Right and Blast from the Past with Brendan Fraser, I think those were two Fraser flops that kind of hurt his career. Like Dudley Do-Right, I'm sure Brendan Fraser's like, I want to recapitalize the success of George of the Jungle. It just didn't work out. Blast from the Past was one where he grew up in a bomb shelter with his parents. I think his dad was Christopher Walken, and he gets out, and it's like the 90s, and but he's still in the mentality of the 50s, and I think Alicia Silverstone was in it. That film didn't do anything. I mean, you think about, what more is he going to do? And then here's Bubba getting his moment to shine. And of course, the point is like for David Graff, there you go, nice punch. Like a super punch. There you go. Now you find out who those. Is that someone they? There you go. There's the bid line for Marion Ramsey. Don't move, dirtbag. Which would get repeated quite a bit in the other sequels. That was the thing that happened a lot with the police cam, is like each person gets their moment to shine. Like Michael Wenzel using his gift so the crowd disperses. Guttenberg's bravery. David Graff missing the battle, which is the whole point. There's gunplay, sir, and he missed it. I mean, hey, they made a lot of people made a career doing these police academy films, and if you're like Bubba Smith and you took, even a 1-2% of some of the profits, could have made a decent amount of money from them. But yeah, this guy here with Leslie Easterbrook, he would never come back. I'm sure that line would get canceled today. Him going, that's more like it. And someone, why wouldn't it be right if it's just two men? Don't take it that fucking seriously, folks. It's fucking Police Academy, not William Shakespeare, Dostoevsky, or whatever. Fucking Police Academy. Then the underdogs. People, it's easy and fun to root for the underdogs because there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot more underdogs than achievers, so to speak. Finally managed to get that medal over. Well, I mean, that was short and to the point. But obviously George James Taylor must have realized what happened later on, because to have the same thing. Apparently that was something that came up later, is that Joe played well to redo the same bit here at the end. It was kind of weird that George James would say that then. Oh, that's more like it, Mahoney. Like, he knows that Mahoney wasn't the one who did that because he knows of this lady. But, again, don't take it too seriously. And there you go, an hour and 33 minutes, and like I said, the cast of characters. It's weird, like, how, in retrospect, like, Michael Wenzel, look how low he is. And then Marion Ramsey, like, how low they are in the cast list. And yet those are ones that, return later on. Of course, have that 80s song here. It said 80s type, but it was done in the 80s. But yeah, that is the first Police Academy. Still a fun film, still entertaining. Like I said, I like the first 4. And I was trying to fumble around looking for trivia and info so that it wouldn't be just me going, I like that scene, that scene's funny. But yeah, here's to hoping that documentary comes out eventually. Probably have to wait a few more years, it seems, but hopefully sooner. I would love to check it out. And rest in peace to Bubba Smith, George Gaines, Marion Ramsey, David Graff, Rest in peace to them. Integrity, knowledge, courage. To serve and protect. Police Academy. And yeah, this was a surprise hit. Like I mentioned before, no one expected this film to be such a huge hit and cause a franchise like it did. I mean, nowadays you don't really hear people talk about it, but it's still fun. The first four I can still enjoy. With the Guttenberg. But like I said, great cast of characters. Really makes the film endearing and fun to watch. So, with that said, Jack Mack and the Heart Attack. That's such a weird name for a band. Jack Mack and the Heart Attack. Okay, so this is in Toronto, Ontario Film Video Office. Huh. Yep, 1984. God, way too long ago. That was a year after I was born. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.